Sanbanan Dumlang, hello, it's Simply Spissa here and welcome back to my channel, and also a special welcome to you if you're joining us for the first time, but also welcome to those listening to the audio podcast Simply Do the Work. Now, before I get into the matter that we're going to be discussing in today's video slash podcast, let's get some housekeeping admin out of the way. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, depending on what platform you're listening on, please do follow, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Yeah, now we got the formalities out of the way. I'm sure you can tell by the title that we're going to be discussing J. Cole and his recent controversy for coming up against Noname. Now, okay, in case you don't know, let me give you all the backstory to how did we get to where we are right now today. So, around about May 30th, if I've got the date correct, I'll put the tweet up on screen. Noname basically tweeted against these black rappers who continually speak about black plight in their discography, in their catalog, but now with Black Lives Matter, they were silent, they were crickets. And so she tweeted this, and apparently the tweet later got deleted because, it created a lot of steam, a lot of heat. And then J. Cole felt pressed by this. He felt pressed and released a song which he kind of tries to doubles down on whether it's about Noname or not, but then he like, it doesn't make sense how he first says something along the lines of, oh, y'all can say whoever. He basically says, nah, I'm not going to say who the song is about. But then in the same thread, he's like, follow Noname. It's like, but okay, that's not even the issue. Okay, that's not even the issue. Anyway, okay, so I'm trying to look at my notes like, what do I want to start with? Because once again, this is mess. It makes no sense. So my notes don't make sense. So hopefully I'll be able to string words along. But, oh yeah, almost forgot to also mention, Chance the Rapper also spoke up. And he basically said that what J. Cole is doing, he's masking patriarchy and gaslighting as constructive criticism, which is basically what everyone has been trying to say. Because, okay, first of all, I don't understand how he can, with his whole chest, say, I ain't done much reading, I just do some thinking. And in the song, he starts off by saying, people think just because I've got a college degree, I'm smart. And it's the main issue, right, that people have is that he's saying that, can't we treat people like adults? I mean, treat adults like children. Can't we be gentle with each other? Teach me. And it's like, no. You need to teach yourself. He also makes some inaccurate statements in the song. Now, I'm not going to do a full break down the song, but he says things like she grew up in a conscious community, in a free thinking community, which is not true. If you did your research, sir, but clearly we know how you are about that, but if you did your research, you would have actually realized that Noname wasn't who trying to choke me? Noname wasn't always this woke or conscious or socially aware person. She got dragged for, her views on capitalism, I think about a year ago. I'm not too sure of the timeline, and I couldn't find, if I find the tweet, I'll put it up, but I've been struggling. But Noname got dragged, and because of that, she was like, okay, hold up, let me read, let me educate myself. Yesterday I was watching the 4Herit YouTube channel, and there was this video where Kim was interviewing Dr. Ibram Kendi, and in that discussion they mentioned how if you look at other fields like climate change and what else, like climate change, nutrition, health, like all these other fields like languages, history, they have experts, they have people who studied and learned on them. And what do black people have on racism? We have celebrities. We just have celebrities. And it's not to say that you have to get a degree or you have to study at this Ivy League school to be able to speak on this. But just because you are black doesn't automatically mean you have the range to speak on racism, you know. Yes, you can speak on your individual experiences. I feel like that is true to all black people can speak to their own universal truth, the universal, not universal, I'm saying individual truth, individual experiences. But the system and how it affects, you know, black people around the globe, you need to do some reading on that, okay? Even before I did this video, before I record any of my videos, I read, I research, I make sure that, okay, cool, I make sure that I have the range to speak on what I'm speaking of, because that's the thing. What J. Cole is basically saying is, as a black man, he should be able to he should just come, say his 2 cents, think about it, and then when someone critiques him, then he'll review it. Then he'll be like, oh, okay. That's how I read the situation. And it's like, no. If you're gonna wanna speak on these issues, do the reading yourself. Don't expect someone to come and teach and then says treat people like children. Honestly, I feel like that is a bit insulting to children. I feel like children are, in many ways, they show a lot more emotional intelligence. They show a lot more receptiveness. Children, I feel like people paint children as just being ignorant, but I feel like children are actually, you know, if you actually task them with learning, they actually do take the initiative for themselves. Like, I'm saying this, like, I have a 13-year-old sister, right? So she's 7 years younger than me, but the conversations we sometimes have, I'm like, girl, how do you know this at your young age? How do you understand things which I only learned about 2 or 3 years ago? You already do know, you know. I guess part of it could be because of me, because I do have these conversations, but clearly she's educating herself somehow. And so why is it that we expect like this man, I think he's 35. He is grown. At your big age, you really want to tell me that it makes sense for you to first speak on something without making sure you know what you're talking about? Like, even when I'm done filming this video, when I'm editing, there'll probably be a part where I'll say something, I'll be like, Svi, you should probably, it happens all the time, like, when I'm editing, I'll be like, okay, I said this and this here. I'm not actually too sure what I actually meant by that, or I'm not actually sure if this is actually correct, and I do more research, because I feel like that's the thing is, you can't just, I don't know, how can I put this? To do the work is a process. It's an ongoing process. There's never a point where you can stand up and say, yep, I know everything. I've got all the answers. And that's that. Now, a lot of J. Cole's fans were coming up and protecting him and saying, oh, you guys are reading too much into the situation, you guys are calling him a misogynist, you guys are saying he's sexist, it's not that deep, when I easily found a Twitter thread from 2015 explaining basically why men like J. Cole are sexist, why they are misogynist. I'm gonna break it down for y'all real quick summary, but if you want to know more, do the work yourself. You gotta do the reading for yourself. Basically, there's hostile sexism, which is the more overt, it's the more aggressive form of you know, when a man exerts power over a woman, or when a man feels threatened by a woman who's like, how can I put it? It's the more overt type of sexism. It's the more obvious to the eye. Whereas benevolent is a type of sexism where it's kind of like women are only valuable if they fit a certain mold. Whereas with hostile sexism, it's the clear sexism where you know, a man is prejudiced, a man exerts power over all women, or a man makes, you know, attacks on all women. Whereas benevolent sexism, it's a bit more socially acceptable, and that is why you even had black women coming to J. Cole's defense. That's why, the reason why J. Cole fits this category is because, first of all, is this the same J. Cole who came to the defense of male rappers who are convicted or charged with crimes like assault? I'm talking I believe Kodak Black, XXXTentacion, and 6ix9ine, Tekashi 6ix9ine, or yeah, him. This, like, it's kind of like, is this you? Is this you? Like, you can't tell me that you can defend them, and then now it's not making sense. It's not making sense. The thing is, right, this issue is, I think what people fail to realize is that certain things go beyond individuals, right? Beyond this individual isolated incident. This just shows how black women are continually mistreated. They're continually put down by men. You know, as soon as you, like when he says, I don't appreciate her queen tone, I don't appreciate how she's talking as if she's better than me. Maybe because she is better than you. Did you ever think of that? Also, he says that I felt some type of way. I felt like she was addressing me. Like, Noname didn't name anyone. She named no names. Why were you pressed? I mean, if the shoe fits. I mean, if when you read that tweet and you felt convicted, instead of gaslighting her, instead of coming for her and then trying to, I don't even understand. I don't like that tweet. As soon as he said, I ain't done the reading, I'm just like, stop the thread right there. And he really thought points were made. Hey, that's I feel like the sad part. He really thinks points are made, and nah, just lowering the bar for us all, And I think it also, the reason why this also kind of like this situation irked me is because so many people, even like in South Africa, I know a ton of people who put J. Cole on this pedestal, right? Like I mentioned earlier, how all these other fields, you know, other fields of study have experts. When it comes to racism and race, we look to celebrities. And it's kind of like, I feel like, yes, I understand what J. Cole means when he says, listen, I'm just a guy who raps, but like I don't, you know, I don't really expect people to be looking up to me at least. But it's kind of like, what am I even saying? I understand that he doesn't have the platform that he's on because he wants to be a leader. But it's one of those things, now that you have the platform, you have to recognize the fact that, listen, there are millions of people who follow you. You can't just drop songs dissing people, because he says a diss track, but it's kind of shady. Also, another issue that people had is how he uses the words, she mad at this, she mad at that, she mad, which is kind of, it is playing along the trope of the angry black woman. I don't think, you see, this is the problem. He hasn't done the reading, so he doesn't have the range to see how problematic he's actually being. And even his fans, I was like, I'm not arguing with no cishet, straight, black men who, like, I'm not arguing with no hip-hop stands, okay? Because it's like talking to a brick wall. People going on about how, oh, y'all trying to cancel J. Cole. It's like, I don't think, like, why is it every time a celebrity is held accountable for something, people immediately try to cancel them? No, by all means, we're not saying cancel them, because just canceling them isn't going to do anything. Because let's say we cancel them, they're still going to be sitting there in their house with the same old problematic views. No, but rather we want to shine a light out. Listen, this is what you did. It ain't cute. Stop being messy. Do better. That's all. I think a lot of people who are criticizing J. Cole, they just want him to recognize that he needs to do better. And he shouldn't expect others to critique him. It's kind of like he has the thing where I'll speak first and get the critiques after. You know, there's part of learning is also thinking. Yes, you've got the thinking part down. You think, but you need to learn. And then what you've learned, you apply it through your thinking. And this goes on to the whole benevolent sexism thing. Because you find a lot of men like J. Cole will say stuff like, oh, I have nothing against women. I don't mess with the hoes. I don't mess with them bitches. And it's kind of like, And if you, it's that thing of, you can see how if a white person says, oh, I like black people, but I don't like, the ghetto ones. I don't like the loud ones, the ratchet ones. You as a black man can see the issue when a white man says that, but you can't see the issue when women are saying, no, listen, you need to respect me for who I am as a woman. I obviously cannot speak for women. I am not trying to speak for them, but it's just a matter of, don't try to have conversations where you don't have the range, you don't have the vocabulary, you don't have the pedigree to be having these discussions. Black men treat their friends a lot better than they treat black women. That is just, even if you look at just Drake, take Drake for example, if you look at his discography, how well he speaks of his friends, how he's like, oh, I couldn't do it without my broskies, and then you contrast it to whenever he mentions women, men like in hip hop, in their music, men will be using women as objects, as pawns to get back at each other. And also, I think also goes, with Drake, I know this is getting a little bit all over the place, but with Drake, he does a good job at playing vulnerability. He does a good job at putting on this vulnerable, open, in touch with his feelings persona, which women love, but I think a lot of women, as they got older, as they grow wise and they start actually looking into some of the messaging behind, and also Drake is his own mess. Actually, I think I'm just gonna stop that train right there, because we're just gonna. But back to the discussion on hip-hop music. Hip-hop today, we know it as a male-dominated industry. But if you actually do the research and look into the history of hip-hop, you'll realize that women played an integral part of it. Like they do in everything on this earth. Black women are the one who put these men up. Black women are the ones who were, hyping up the MC when his bars were, on point. Black women were the one who basically supported these men, basically gave them the platform. And I was listening to a TED talk, I forgot, I think her name was Ella. I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to lie, y'all, but she's basically saying that another issue that happened is, as soon as the ownership of the music changed, when the music was no longer owned by black people, right, when these major record label, major executive companies, started owning the music, they didn't care about how the messaging in the music is affecting the community. They were just looking at, oh, we're getting the coins, we're getting the money. They didn't care about how the toxic masculinity, how glamorizing violence and drugs, how that is problematic. And also, if you trace the history of hip hop and rap, it wasn't began to glamorize any of this. The earlier MCs and rappers, they were just documenting their lives. Their lives were filled with gang violence. Their lives were filled with drugs and all these issues. And rather than having these issues addressed, right, other people came in and they rode on the bandwagon. They rode it as a trend because like, oh, okay, this is what hip hop is all about. And I think what's happening now, in not only in the hip hop culture but in the world, is that black women are no longer seeking the validation of men. A lot of black women are now turning to each other for solidarity. And I think it's one of the most beautiful things to witness, just seeing how these black women are coming together, because clearly these men don't care for them. Like yesterday, I saw a video of a woman being thrown in a dumpster and the men were laughing while wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts. You see why I said my advocacy for cishet black men is tired in my last video? You see, because to them, it's black men's lives matter. It's not all black lives that matter to them. Today, on Twitter, I saw a video of a man slapping a woman and his other friends were laughing. It's like, you see what we mean when we're saying it's not the fact that you didn't throw the slap, but the fact that you're laughing, the fact that you're recording it, the fact that no one is going to check on her, is she okay? But no, we know the trope of the strong black woman. It's like, oh no, she's a strong black woman, she can take it, she's tough. No, she needs to be protected. Why is it that white women are seen as these delicate flowers, when really, honestly, they can be the most vindictive people. But that is a different conversation. When I mentioned white women, I just remember a friend of mine was saying how black men and white women, what they have in common is that they are both the oppressed and the oppressor. Black men are oppressed because of their skin color, but they are oppressors as misogynists, as sexist to black women. White women are oppressed by the white man because of, their gender, but then they go on and oppress black people using their white privilege. And this, I can't help but draw some parallels with the J. Cole situation, what Lana Del Rey did, because they both came for black women, and then when they were questioned about it, they're like, nah, that's not what I mean. And it just goes back to, once again, if you don't have the range for the conversation, don't speak. If you're not going to do the learning, don't do the speaking. And so, yeah, I think just going to end it right there. I mean, there's so much more I actually would have liked to say, but I feel like this video, this podcast is just, it's been all over the place. Hopefully you guys are able to follow through my thought. At the end of the day, let's just admit the facts that black men they need to do better. And the thing is, this is why those who have a platform, when they're silent, or those who have a platform when they do foolery, we have to call them out. Because the thing is, also, yeah, a lot of people are looking to black women to educate the men, but you don't realize that these men don't listen to women. The younger generation don't look up to the older, to the women in their life. They look up to the men. They see how the men act. I read a tweet where a woman said, sometimes the only way to get, if a guy is pursuing her, the only way to get the guy to leave her alone is to say that she has a boyfriend. And she was saying how these men respect a man they don't know more than the woman that's in front of them. And that is the issue. This, the point I'm trying to make with this video is that this J. Cole issue, I mean, I can look at it and see, okay, you know what, I can see what he was trying to say, I could see what he was trying to do, but he's not going to get that from me, okay? Trust me, there are a ton of people who are trying to justify and explain what he did. No, we have to address the issues. Because the reality is, like I mentioned in my previous video, what black men don't realize is that by removing these oppressive systems, the systems that they use to oppress black women, the system that they think it benefits them. That's the thing. They think it benefits them, but they don't realize how it harms them. And black women have been trying for years, but I feel like now we've reached that point where it's kind of like, if you don't want to learn, you want to educate yourself, then there's nothing I can do for you. At this point, everyone needs to do the work. In the same way, white people are being tasked to educate themselves. Black men, same to you. Like I said, I did my research before. I'm probably going to be doing more research after, because it's an ongoing process. It's not one day someone educates you and you saw it for life. And so I also can't help but wonder if this wasn't some type of marketing ploy. Like, maybe I'm reaching here, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like there's a lot of people who wouldn't have even listened to the song if it wasn't for this controversy. I guess it's true what they say. I mean, they do say controversy sells, I mean, there are like companies that use black outrage to boost their sales. And I'm not saying that was his intention, but I do see that as being a byproduct of this entire mess, because I personally would not have listened to the song if it wasn't for this controversy. Let's just be the truth. I'm sure that there are probably many, many other people just like me who are in the same boat. That being said, hopefully you guys are able to follow through with my train of thought. If you enjoyed this, please do give it a thumbs up. Also, feel free to leave a comment down below. And until I see you guys in the next one, or until you hear from me in the next one, I love you so much. Bye, guys.